when we went to university, when we were the age of a lot of the guys that are seeking advice online at the moment,
there was nothing online.
But I don't think that there was a sense of being lost, despite the fact that there was less information out there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that, and that's not to say that me and you tumbled into some like perfect slick archetype of finding our place within university or whatever. I think both of us in like certain ways were a little bit disjointed and took time to find our feet.
Yeah.
What do you think's changed? Why is it that guys are...
I think it's maybe the comparison aspect of it, because I definitely didn't have a clue what I was doing. And I think it was only until I was 23 when I became a personal trainer, I was like, okay, so this is probably a step in the right direction. Before that, I was working as a manager in Hollister, worked the club promoter for a bit, doing all sorts. But I never felt lost. I was just like, okay, well, yeah, I'll just do this. But I had no one else to compare myself to. Like, I wasn't comparing myself to any other 22 or 23-year-old out there. In fact, I thought I was doing pretty good, because I was like, hey, I've come out of university and I've got a job. Whereas now, you got people who are like 16, 20, 21, 22 who are just making a killing. And I think because they're so out there on social media and they have gained quite a lot of following because of the success they've had, I think a lot of guys, maybe that age or even a little bit older, they're like, hang on, how has this guy managed to make so much money and so successful? And I am literally doing nothing with my life.
Comparatively, even if you are on a graduate scheme at Hollister.
Yeah. I think that's one thing. And then maybe the value of a degree has massively gone downhill now. I don't think people are thinking, oh, should I go to university anymore? Is it worth it? Like, do I need to go? Do I not need to go? Like, what should I spend my time learning? I think it can be quite confusing out there.
All of my richest friends don't use their degrees.
Yeah.
I don't use my degree. You don't. George, the guy that I was at his house before, unbelievably successful marketing business, did philosophy at uni. Can't remember any of it. Like, I think that all of that's very correct. There's a quote that says, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
And maybe that contributes to a big part of it, the fact that just your ability to see 0.0001% success, absolute outliers, crushing at a younger age than you. So I went to the UFC's Power Slap event in Vegas last Saturday, which was fucking wild. And I saw Aiden Ross, one of the biggest streamers in the world. I saw all of the Nelk boys, Kyle, Mike from Impulsive, Haspalar was there, Dan Bilzerian was there. Like, just bing, 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 like pick your, Steve will do it. Like, everybody, right? All of the biggest guys that would have been around that sort of community. And you look, I mean, Aiden Ross, I think he's maybe 21. He's one of the biggest streamers in the world. Like, I Show Speed is something similar, maybe even younger, maybe he's 19. Kyle and all of the Nelk boys are maybe getting toward their mid-20s, mid-late 20s, but they've got like businesses and franchises and clothing companies and all this stuff.
I guess a lot of guys are just thinking, oh, well, maybe I need to take the influencer route. And that's why they're so confused.
Yeah, perhaps. And what about, is there something else going on about men's roles? Do you think, like, young guys' roles in the world? Has something been lost there?
I guess so. I mean, I'm not massively clear on what it was to begin with. What did it used to be young men's roles?
Well, this is the point. When me and you were at uni, I was also useless. I had no idea. I didn't know what I was supposed to do, but there didn't feel like a pressure to know what I was supposed to do. So every generation looks back at the generation coming after them and can't believe how quickly they're growing up.
Yeah, I'm pretty glad I'm not a part of this younger generation. I feel like we had it pretty sweet.
Why?
It just felt like a simpler time. Growing up, first of all, without social media. I think maybe when I get onto Facebook, that was probably when I was at university, just before university.
You needed 17. A uni email address when we went.
So it was nice just to have my teenage years without all the social media. We just even weren't on phones.
Wasn't even BBM, like a Nokia.
I had like a Sony Ericsson, a Nokia. I feel like I spent a lot more time being present. And then the world's a bit mad now. Like really mad with all the woke stuff, and I don't know.
Well, one of the problems that you have is everybody always presumes that giving more freedom to people will allow them to more accurately choose the precise thing that they want, right? If there's one pair of jeans in the store and you go in, then maybe you wanted a different pair and you only get that one. If there's 1,000 pairs of jeans in the store, fantastic. You can optimize your choice precisely for the exact type of jeans, the cut, the color, the length, the stretch, the whatever, right? Waist, everything. The problem is that takes the decision of the outcome of success or failure out of the hands of your limited choices and more into your hands. You know, you see how this would be an issue, right? If you choose an ever so slightly suboptimal pair of jeans, that's your fault because there was an optimal pair of jeans for you to take. And I think that the same thing happens here, that if the rules and guidelines that people previously would have followed have perhaps been removed a little bit, and if expectations have been raised, you should be doing more at this age, you're able to compare yourself, so on and so forth. That's a really perfect blend of internal uncertainty and external pressure that can cause someone to think, holy fuck, like I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life. I don't know all of the things previously, the traits that I would have taken pride in, the protector, provider, competent, courageous, brave, stands up well under pressure, doesn't give up easily, emotionally mature, all of those things that specifically men would have relied on. That's only one step away from toxic masculinity, right? All of those can very easily be protecting. Why is it that you think that women need to be protected? Should it not be the case that women can be safe without the protection of men? What is it that you're intending on doing with them? Oh, provider, you think that women can't afford to look after themselves? You want women back in the kitchen, do you? You don't want them to have careers. You're like, holy fuck, like, can we not turn the volume of this conversation down?
Yeah, because you must have had a lot of these conversations with the interviews you've done. Do you think it's the dating market at the moment is the worst it's ever been?
It's a really good question. I certainly think that it's the most confusing, and the outcomes seem to have the highest rates of sexlessness that we've ever seen. So 30% of men-ish, around about a third of men haven't had sex in the last year, aged 18 to 30. This stat that just came out from Pew a couple of weeks ago, 50% of men say that they're pursuing a relationship short-term or long-term, which means that 50% of men aren't, aged 18 to 30. Now, both me and you and everybody that's listening that has a penis who's been through the ages of 18 to 30 knows what the male sex drive feels like at that age. Can you imagine what the world has to be like and what your experience of life has to be like for your sex drive to be chopped in half, essentially, right?
It'd drive you mad.
Yeah, but these guys are self-identifying as saying, I'm not bothered about a short-term or a long-term relationship. Like, for you to get yourself to the stage where you've tamped down on that sex drive, and there's talk of like reducing levels of testosterone, phthalates in the water, increasing levels of estrogen in everything that we eat, less time outside, blah, blah, blah. Like, people know that. Testosterone's dropped 1% a year since 1980. So that may contribute to it too. But in 2019, it was 61% of guys were short-term and long-term, looking for the short-term, long-term mating thing. And that's dropped 11% in 4 years. It's like rapid decline. So I certainly do think that...
Well, what are these guys doing? Are they just focusing on their own shit?
That's a really good question.
Are they just not?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I think that a lot of guys are retreating from the real world.
All going monk mode now.
But if it was proper monk mode, where it's, I'm working on my self-development, I'm building myself up, that would indicate that they're taking a break to then come back in, to integrate into both society and dating. But I think that a lot of these guys are just fully checked out, even at younger ages, like under 20, like guys that are under 20 men going their own way. It's like, dude, like you haven't had chance to not go your own way.
I'm trying to think, if I was 18 now, it would be a lot harder compared to when I was 18.
Harder to do what?
I don't know, just date. I think now, because of social media, it's obviously way more competitive. And I just think a lot of women who are, let's say if I was 18, they're 18, they're probably not going to be looking for an 18-year-old to date. They'll be looking for older guys to date. But I feel like that wasn't as much of a thing back then. Absolutely not. No, the amount of people that you had access to would have been limited.
What's happening, people? If you enjoyed that, then press here for the full, unedited episode. And don't forget to subscribe. Peace.